Today we'll be discussing the flying wing archetype presented by Bryson Henderson, Jacob Walker, and Judson Matthews. We'll be discussing what a flying wing is, its historical development and background, what modern flying wings are like today, the pros and cons, and the future of flying wings. Flying wings are very easy to distinguish from typical aircraft. Most notable is the minimal or lack of fuselage and tail sections. This is what makes a flying wing design unique. On the screen, the first aircraft shown is the Northrop YB-49, and it represents a traditional flying wing design. The other aircraft is the blended body concept from NASA. Both designs are similar, and the NASA concept uses the ideas of flying wings, but because it has a distinct fuselage, it is separate from flying wings. One of the most substantial features of flying wings is the increased lift and greatly reduced parasite drag due to its streamlined aerodynamics and less protrusions from the main body. In many cases, to keep the design streamlined, the engine intakes are placed on the top due to fast-moving air, with the engines being inside the body. The exhaust is vented to the rear of the airplane. In this case, the sound is greatly reduced.
Historical background of flying wings. So flying wings were being developed since the early 20th century. Early developments in this field were plagued with stability issues, as there is a lack of tail on a flying wing. There were also no computers to help compensate for these stability issues as there are today, with many of our jet fighter aircraft being purposely designed to be unstable to achieve high maneuverability. Early attempts were the Armstrong-Whitworth AW-52 jet-powered flying wing and the de Havilland DH-108. Both these planes were British and had a high focus on performance, the latter of which was even the first British plane to break the sound barrier. One of the first modern interpretations of flying wing design was the Northrop N-1M. Its first flight was in 1940, and this plane was fully metal and tailless. This was designed by the United States to help improve our understanding of flying wings. This plane did not leave the prototyping stage, though, as there was only one ever made, and it never saw combat. The second plane shown here, and one of the most predominant flying wings to ever have existed, is the B-2 bomber. Its maiden flight was in 1979, and this was designed by Northrop Grumman to be a stealth bomber. However, this program did have major financial issues, as one plane averaged about $2 billion to manufacture. With this being said, though, it did have performance to back it up: a very low radar cross-section and an altitude ceiling of 50,000 feet with a range of 6,000 miles. Not to mention, it could be refueled in air, giving it an even higher range.
What are the pros of the flying wing? The advantage of this design is that the entire body of the aircraft actually acts like a wing, adding extra lift and reducing the unnecessary drag of the fuselage, unlike traditional aircraft. This in turn reduces the fuel consumption and increases the range, thus reducing the cost per flight. There is very little complexity to its shape, making the aircraft more rigid with less points of high stress. The flying wing is primarily used for military applications, such as the B-2 bomber, as it can be designed to have a low radar cross-sectional area, which is approximately the size of a large bird. This is due to the fact that the designers made the aircraft with very few flat surfaces to reflect any enemy radar signal. The cons of the flying wing are that the wings are less stable than traditional aircraft since they lack a tail. The rectangular cross-sectional area makes it a lot harder to build a light fuselage that can withstand the rigors of pressurized air flight. The small cargo is also a disadvantage because it can't be improved upon without increasing the wingspan. The maintenance would also be harder to perform due to the engines being directly inside the wings.
So what is the future of the flying wing? With its increased lift and greatly reduced drag, the flying wing could reduce commercial airline fuel costs by over 20%. With the engines being predominantly inside the body, the noise pollution of the aircraft is greatly reduced, making it a viable option for transport and military operations. With new designs like the Airbus Maverick and the B-21 Raider, the time of the flying wing is now.